Boise State University has joined the trend of discarding their DEI programs and offices on campus. At least that's according to an email sent out Tuesday. The gender and student equity centers are gone. They closed them over Thanksgiving break, only telling students about it yesterday. This seems to be in response to a resolution Idaho's State Board of Education is still considering to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs on college campuses. I say seems to be a response because we can't seem to get a response from the school to do an interview with us to confirm it. Well, here's what that resolution looks like. That draft resolution would make it so no central office, policy, procedure, or initiative can be dedicated to DEI unless those things are needed to comply with, say, things like NCAA, accreditation, or to be eligible for grants and scholarships. State Board trustees have made no decision on this resolution, nor do we know if or when they will. But that hasn't stopped schools from getting out ahead of the possibility of this resolution passing. And Boise State wasn't even the first. Idaho State University got rid of its Office of Equity and Inclusion back on November 14th. A restructuring and renaming, ISU President Robert Wagner called it. From now on, it will be known as the Office of Equal Opportunity and Title IX. On November 18th, University of Idaho told their students and staff their Equity and Diversity Unit, which includes the likes of the Office of Multicultural Affairs, the Women's Center, and the LGBTQ plus office, that would be going away mid-December. However, the day after the State Board introduced its DEI resolution, the U of I backtracked and announced they are not closing their DEI units after all, saying they didn't want to act too quickly. So that brings us to this week, or should I say Thanksgiving week. Well, Aspen Shumpert breaks down the events of both.
Tuesday, Boise State University sent out an email to students to announce changes to their diversity, equity, and inclusion resources on campus. The email states on November 29th, during Thanksgiving break, they closed both the Gender Equity Center and the Student Equity Center. We spoke to BSU students December 2nd, the day they came back from break, who were unaware changes had already been made while they were gone.
We are housed under these centers, and these are things that I come as a second home to me, as a place of community, in a state where I don't really see people like me a lot, that aren't on the football team.
Closing the DEI centers is a change Idaho students, staff, and residents across the state tell lawmakers is the thing they feared. Senator Melissa Wintrow shared that with Idaho State Board of Education's Executive Director, Josh Whitworth, at the December 2nd DEI committee meeting.
But what is happening on our campuses here in Idaho is being reflected in the over 50 emails I've received in 2 days. And I would encourage you to talk to students because that's who's contacting me, and they're scared about the things that you're denying them.
All of the emails are in support of DEI on higher education campuses, some saying it's crucial to have on these campuses, others giving examples of how DEI units helped their college careers.
Boise State is way more diverse than it is northern Idaho. They have a way more bigger demographic, and realizing the ramifications of this and a bigger, greater response will be known than just some letter, and that the students will not go quietly, and that they are to focus on their students, all of their students, who this impacts, and the future ramifications of this.
In that email Boise State administrators sent yesterday, it says BSU will open a new Student Connections and Support Center. They say this will serve all students, and it's been in the works for the last few months. BSU says a new first-generation program and other resources like case management and support will be offered in the new Student Connections and Support Center. But the centers they're taking away, Brian, these have been on campus for decades.
Yeah.
Their names have changed. The Women's Center is now the Student Equity Center that we know now and is getting taken away, and the Multicultural Affairs also got renamed. So although the names have changed over the last few decades, these have been resources that have been on campus for a long time.
And so one of the questions I would love to ask the school, is this just a shell game? Are we just kind of changing the names, moving things around because of the attention that these things have received from the legislature? And
I'd love to get that answer. Right. It's been a little tough to get answers from school representatives. I think also the question of a center for all students. That word of all students has some meaning. And I know we've heard from students, well, the centers that have been on our campuses are open to all students already. So why do we need to take them away, rename them, and reconfigure to this idea that it needs to be open to all?
And it's worth pointing out, when the legislature addresses this or has been addressing it, they have yet to define what diversity, equity, and inclusion means under state code. So,
yeah, I think that comes up in every conversation we hear.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Aspen.